At Society, Diane and Jack are floored by Kyle's plan to propose to Claire. Irritated, their son asks why they don't want him to marry her. They warn this move seems a little reactive. It will seem like he's trying to distract Claire from their issues. Jack adds, it could come off a little manipulative. Would he be doing it if she hadn't found out about him kissing Audra? Kyle, now sporting full-on tunnel vision, argues that this has nothing to do with Audra. Gushing about Claire, he decides he's foolish for not proposing to her sooner. Jack and Diane urge him to wait. Kyle won't listen. He's meeting with a jeweler later. I'll keep you posted, he chirps as he exits. At that moment, Billy arrives, looking to discuss Kane. At the ranch, Claire asks Nikki how she's supposed to trust Kyle again after him lying to her. How is she supposed to process what she thought their relationship was knowing what it is now? How can she do all of that and not break up with him? They debate as Nikki tries saying that Kyle just made a mistake and she understands him trying to protect her. Not knowing the truth is a deal-breaker for Claire. Nikki urges her to take her time deciding. For the umpteenth time, Claire recaps that her life was all lies growing up. She doesn't want to question the person who loves her. If she forgives Kyle, she'll be giving him permission to do it again. Nikki admits she and Victor have been through a million conflicts, but she knows his heart. Claire promises not to make any snap decisions and switches gears to Nikki's big news. Nikki tells Claire it's time for her to climb the corporate ladder. She and Victor have decided to fold Newman Publishing into Chancellor. She'll take a junior position and will someday run the division, like her dad. Claire, clearly pleased, accepts. On the Kane train, he rolls his eyes when Phyllis strolls in. He tries to get rid of her to no avail. She announces that she's given him time to get over his gloom and doom and wants to hear that he's not killing the plan. He reiterates that it's done. He needs to focus on his family right now. Do you understand that? Phyllis takes this to mean that he's just putting the plan on hold for now. Phyllis asks if he plans to just sit on his hands until his family comes around. She understands the pain, shame, and regret, but it will kill you if you don't move on. Kane says his plan would require massive deception for personal gain, which is how he screwed up with his kids in the first place. He won't be doing that. More debate and arguing ensues as Phyllis tries desperately to convince Kane that his kids will respect him taking over everyone's companies. He needs her to move on. Tearing up, she cannot let the rug be pulled out from under her again. She says she's been doing a deep dive into the company's financials. This is big. She'll do the dirty work, and he can keep his hands clean. You just have to tell me what you've planned, she coaxes. As his secret weapon, she will conquer the world. Amid some baseball analogies, Phyllis prods Kane to let her loose on the companies. She'll run the behemoth while he spends time with his kids. She needs to know his plan, however. You need to tell me your plan, Kane. You need to let me in. Kane promises to think it over as Amanda appears. Phyllis urges her to talk some sense into Kane. Amanda reports that moving their base from DC to Genoa City has been complicated. She agrees to have drinks soon with Phyllis, who leaves them to it. Amanda asks Kane if it's true he's backed off on the takeover. She supports him either way, but warns him about going after Winters, which won't impress his family. Kane lets her know that Phyllis and Billy are spreading the word about him backing off. While the spotlight's not on him, he'll make his move, one that no one will expect. At the Abbott mansion, Kyle thanks the jeweler after picking out an engagement ring and sees her out. Admiring the rock, he smiles with self-satisfaction. At Society, Billy tells Jack and Diane that he doesn't trust Kane, who has flipped the script. We're dealing with a whole new ballgame. Billy informs them that Kane claims to not be following through and is instead focusing on his kids. He doesn't believe him, but his plan to get on the inside is now DOA. Diane leaves, and Jack tells Billy he knows he's disappointed. Billy doesn't think they can trust this turnaround by Kane. Jack grimaces when Billy tells him he's more determined to get Chancellor back than ever. He admits he would like nothing more than to see Victor get his, but Nikki feels she's honoring Catherine. He can't applaud him for cutting her off at the knees. Billy warns Jack not to get in his way. He doesn't want to have to plow him down to get back what he deserves. Diane runs into Nikki in the park, and they butt heads about Victor hiring Audra to break up Kyle and Claire. Diane accuses the blonde of turning a blind eye to the viciousness of Victor's attack on Kyle. Nikki tells her to calm down. She doesn't want them split up any more than she does. But she warns Diane that Kyle will have to be delicate and patient. Kyle finds Claire in the patio of Crimson Lights and asks if she's still upset with him. She's confused. Kyle apologizes, noting this feels awful. He asks her out to dinner to talk through everything. Claire resists, but lets him talk her into having dinner with him at the Abbott Mansion. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. Y&R spoiler alert. Here are your teasers for The Young and the Restless for the week of Monday, September 1st to Friday, September 5th, 2025. Be sure to tune in to CBS every weekday to see how everything plays out in Genoa City. Jack sees Diane's true colors. Kyle proposes to Claire. Audra asks Nate for a second chance. Victor drives a hard bargain with Kane. Claire catches Kyle off guard. Amanda takes a risk for Phyllis. Jack and Diane share words of wisdom with Kyle, Claire, and Holden. Team up against Audra. Billy makes a commitment to Sally. Nikki surprises Victor with a romantic evening. Michael is presented with a new opportunity. Claire loses her cool with Audra. Victor prepares the Newmans for war. Phyllis overplays her hand. Lily urges Kane to come clean on The Young and the Restless when Kyle called Claire and said he was going to France, but left out that Audra was also going on the trip. We knew it would ultimately blow up in his face. Viewers could see that trouble coming a mile away. But what happens next might not be quite as predictable. On The Young and the Restless, once Victor told Audra that her mission failed, he not only pulled his funding from her startup company Vibrante, but he also wanted her to pay back the money he'd already invested. Desperate to succeed at getting what she wanted, Audra didn't give up on breaking up Kyle and Claire. Audra, being Audra, pulled out all the stops. From ratting out Kyle to Claire, to kissing him in public, she still tried to cause problems. But she pushed Claire too far, who told Nate all about what Audra had been up to in France and was still trying to do in Genoa City. Now that she's been exposed, Nate is going to ask Audra again next week to tell him the truth. And this time, she does. Will Nate understand why Audra did what she did? He still loves her, but can he forgive her? It will be a hard road for Devin and Lily to get on board with them not breaking up. But considering Lily is going to be recalling her feelings for Kane and open to seeing where that leads soon, maybe she'll relent a little on her judgment. But what about Kyle and Claire? Now that he confessed to what really happened in Nice, Claire is struggling with trust issues. Kyle's reactive proposal this week could backfire. Instead of bringing them back together, it could drive Claire further from him, as she might very well see it the way we do, as an act of desperation. In fact, Claire could suspect that Kyle is worried about something more than her forgiving him for lying. After all, he immediately bought a ring and planned a dinner, although he still didn't get what she was upset about. It wasn't lost on Claire that Kyle still blamed Audra instead of himself for lying. We suspect that Claire won't be that eager to be wearing Kyle's ring. She's barely had time to process his lies. And if she remembers that Kyle has a contract with Victor, she might even wonder if that's why he suddenly wants to get married. After all, they had talked about moving in together twice with no sign of a ring then. Now Kyle wants to propose? Kyle might be finding himself with a bigger challenge than he realized. Not only does he need to win back Claire's trust after lying to her about what happened in France, but he'll have to convince her that he's not just wanting to marry her so he doesn't have to pay Victor $5 million. Except there's another issue that Kyle hasn't thought about. On The Young and the Restless, Kyle admitted to Claire that it was more than just a kiss with Audra, and that it all went down in his train car. But he left out that he was only in a towel and they were on his bed. When Kyle spoke with Jack and Diane, he stated that the only two people who knew what really happened in his sleeping car were he and Audra. Wait, what? Was there more? Kyle seemed to be counting on the fact that Audra wouldn't want Nate to find that out, and therefore wouldn't tell anyone about what happened. It might take him a little while to win Claire's trust back on all counts, and Nate with Audra as well. But it would sure be a plot twist if they all got back on track, only for Audra to discover she was pregnant. He could talk some sense into his brother, who is on the warpath. Billy is on the warpath, and that's a dangerous road to be on. All he sees is revenge on his mind. Jack shouldn't be surprised that he wants Chancellor. Could he be the one person to stop him on the young and the restless? Billy met up with Jack and Diane at Society. Diane immediately wanted to know whether his plan with Kane to take over Chancellor fell through. She doesn't trust Kane's intentions. Billy doesn't trust Kane either. Suddenly, he changed his tune. He's back off his scheme to take over Genoa City's companies. Billy isn't sure whether he should believe Kane, especially now that Phyllis is working with him. Billy had his way in with Kane, but now it's been taken away from him. Now, he has to come up with a new plan. Billy is still determined to get Chancellor back. His fury for Kane and Jill. He still can't get over the fact that his mom sold the company from under his nose. Billy made it clear that nobody can stop him. While Jack would like to see Victor get his dues, he wished that Billy would let it go. Billy wants to make this battle public, so Victor gets humiliated. However, Jack could be the one to stop Billy before it's too late. Y&R fans are already concerned that he could be headed for another downfall. Billy admitted that he lost his pride when the company was stolen from him. He warned his brother not to get in the way, but Jack could be the one to stop him. Jack could plan something that would destroy Billy's plans. It'll be interesting to see him go against his brother. Y&R viewers think it's time for Jack to stop enabling Billy. He could be the one to stop him in order to teach him a lesson. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that Sharon Newman may need to deal with 3 major hangups when they come up in Genoa City. What does Sharon need to be on the lookout for? Sharon and Phyllis Summers' rivalry may resurface now that Sharon and Nick Newman are back together. Phyllis and Sharon have fought over Nick for years, and that isn't likely to stop, even though they have become somewhat friends. Will the renewed relationship with Nick renew the feud as well? Phyllis is backing Kane Ashby, so there will definitely be some tension between her and Nick. Nick has always been able to calm Phyllis down, but she may begin to come onto him more now that Kane has made it plain that there will be nothing sexual between them. Will Phyllis make a play for Nick that Sharon shuts down? Sharon and Daniel Romalotti have certainly had issues over the past year. Sharon did frame him for murder after all. Daniel and Tessa Porter have gotten very close since she has been giving him guitar lessons. Of course, Daniel has been there for Tessa since Mariah Copeland has moved out on her. Mariah is the one who walked out on her wife and child. However, Sharon may go after Daniel, warning him to back off of Tessa. Daniel and Sharon will surely clash if she tries to blame him, and Tessa would likely put Sharon in her place too. However, Sharon will defend her daughter's marriage until the end. Sharon may have to step up and help Mariah legally, considering she seems to have killed a man while she was away. Mariah has spiraled out of control. Mariah left home and is trying to sort things out on her own. However, Mariah could end up facing charges, and Sharon is sure to hit Michael Baldwin to help her out. Will Michael be able to get Mariah out of trouble, much like he did Sharon when she was accused of Heather Stevens' murder? Mariah could be determined to plead guilty and take her punishment. However, Sharon isn't about to allow Mariah to throw her life away, especially when all of her mental issues lead right back to Ian Ward. Michael could pull the insanity defense, considering how Ian tried to kill her entire family. Sharon may certainly have to jump in here and help her daughter before it is too late. Next week's drama promises to be intense and vengeful. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for September 5th, reveal someone seeing Diane's true colors. Meanwhile, Claire and Holden team up to get payback. Who's their target? The week of September 5 is a big one for the recently promoted Claire. Now that Newman Publishing is moving over to Chancellor, she'll take on a junior executive role with the potential to run the whole division in the future. It won't just keep her challenged, it'll also keep her connected to her dad. Having said all of that, in the near future, she's busy for entirely different reasons. First, Claire catches Kyle off guard. If Kyle asks her to marry him, like he's planning to do, maybe she rejects his proposal. After all, she's still processing his latest confession. But the biggest thing on Claire's to-do list is to team up with Holden against Audra. Vengeful Claire is back. Will she use any of what she learned from crazy Aunt Jordan to get back at her nemesis? On Thursday, September 4, look for the latest Newman to channel her grandpa when she loses her cool with Audra. Is Claire versus Audra going to be a worthy rivalry? And what does her collaboration with Holden mean for them? At the beginning of the week, teasers suggest that Jack sees Diane's true colors. What does that mean? More importantly, it'll be Jack's reaction to seeing these true colors that'll be the most important part of this equation. It may make him love Diane even more, as long as she's using her powers to protect the Abbotts. Later in the week, Jack and Diane share words of wisdom with Kyle. At this point, why even bother giving their son advice? He never listens. In other news, Michael is presented with a new opportunity, which is a fantastic development. If Victor doesn't want him, maybe someone else would like to use his considerable legal skills. Maybe Kane enlist his help. If this happened, this would make us understand why he insisted that Michael and Lauren join everybody in Nice earlier this summer. We're still wondering why those two were there. The Young and the Restless reveals Kane's shocking admission. What does it mean for his grand plan and the future of Genoa City? In the August 29th episode of The Young and the Restless, Kane shocked Amanda by admitting that while he's backing away from his high-profile takeover scheme, he's far from finished. His hint that no one will expect what's coming next reframed him not as a man in retreat, but as one preparing a calculated, stealthier move that could destabilize everything in Genoa City. To Phyllis, Kane insisted the grand plan was over, leaving her frustrated and desperate to salvage her own ambitions. He cited his fractured family ties and the rejection from his children as the reason he could no longer justify a public fight. While Phyllis dismissed his retreat as temporary, Kane presented it as final. But when Amanda arrived, his tone shifted. Instead of defeat, he spoke of strategy. The spectacle was over, but the battle was not. Amanda immediately saw the risk. Abandoning his bold takeover would make Kane look weak to both allies and rivals. Her perspective cut to the heart of his dilemma: family repair on one side, reputation and power on the other. Rather than deny it, Kane leaned into the idea. By letting word spread that he was backing off, he could lull opponents into complacency. Beneath that cover, he suggested, he was already shaping the move that would truly define his empire. Kane's cryptic promise of an unexpected strike raises the stakes across multiple fronts. The Newmans, the Abbotts, and even Phyllis may relax if they believe his campaign is dead. That false sense of security could be exactly what Kane needs to gain an advantage. But his words also signal danger. Secrecy and unpredictability make him harder to anticipate and potentially more ruthless. On Y&R August 29th, Kane positioned himself not as a man defeated, but as one preparing to play a longer, more dangerous game. Kyle certainly can't take care of himself. After weeks and weeks of huffing and puffing about Claire daring to go against his wishes and continue dating Kyle, Victor suddenly did an about-face and announced that he was graciously withdrawing his objections. It came so out of nowhere that on the August 28th episode of The Young and the Restless, Nikki felt compelled to ask Victor what his real plan was. But while she was quizzing her husband, we thought we picked up something suspicious in Diane's defense of Kyle to Jack. Does she know something Jack doesn't? Are Diane and Victor working together? Jack was very upset about his latest war of words with Victor. Jack was worried about what Victor might do next to dumb, clueless Kyle. Diane, on the other hand, seemed much more chill about the whole thing. She insisted that Kyle was smart enough to deal with Victor. Diane is a smart woman, so it can't be Kyle she has faith in. It has to be something else. Nikki is also suspicious. Why did Victor suddenly pull a 180 on his opinion of Kyle? He claimed it's because Kyle has proved himself to him, but Nikki knows that's not right. Victor doesn't respect people who stand up to him. Victor hates it when people stand up to him. How could they? How dare they? So there has to be another reason, something that's good for Victor. You know what would be good for Victor? If he made a deal with Diane, where, in exchange for Victor laying off Kyle, Diane gives Victor something in return. Like maybe inside secrets he can use to take over Jabot? Sure, Diane loves her husband, Sure, Diane cares about his family company, but Jack and Jebo can take care of themselves, as opposed to Kyle. He needs his mommy's help to do, well, anything. And Diane still feels so guilty about abandoning Kyle while he was growing up that she'll make a deal with the devil himself to save her precious baby boy from himself. The Young and the Restless spoilers tease that Lily Winters will start drilling everyone around Kane Ashby to get answers on what he has planned for Genoa City. For a woman who claims that she isn't interested in him, she sure makes it a point to get into his business. Lily has a motive to get the dirt on Kane. Victor Newman hired her to find out his plans and sway him to fold his takeover plans. Lily doesn't trust Victor as far as she can throw him, but she agreed to work with Victor. Now, Lily must rush to get Kane to stop his takeover plans to save his relationship with his children. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Lily will find Holden Novak to learn what his connection is to Kane. She has a hunch that he works very closely with Kane, but she lacks proof. Holden refuses to admit his connection to Kane. He tells Lily that he was friendly with Kane, but they had no business partnership. Lily refuses to believe him. She believes that Kane and Holden have a business partnership. She thinks that Kane has Holden doing his dirty work while trying to keep his hands clean. The whole situation makes her feel icky toward Kane, wondering if she can try anything he has told her since returning from France. Lily asks Holden tough questions, refusing to accept any of his answers. She wants the truth because she fears that Kane is lying to her. She cannot let down her guard with him until she knows the truth. Holden still refuses to come clean, claiming he told her everything he knows. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Kane will disclose to Lily that he is willing to give up everything for her and their children. None of this money means anything without his family in his life. It moves Lily. She tries to pretend that she doesn't have any feelings for Kane, but fails. She cannot deny that they share a history, and it is hard for her to separate her feelings from that. Of course, she refuses to disclose her feelings to Kane, pretending to dislike him, but inside, Lily struggles to keep her growing feelings for Kane in check. Y&R fans, do you think Kane and Lily will reunite? Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Remember to watch The Young and the Restless, airing weekdays on CBS and streaming on Paramount+. Welcome to The Young and the Restless Daily YAPP for a quick, and by that I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. On The Young and the Restless, there is nothing more young and reckless than Kyle. The guy doesn't have a strategic bone in his body sometimes, especially when it comes to women. He claimed he knew what Audra was doing the first night she paid him attention months ago in the jazz club, yet despite everyone's warnings and a direct request from Claire, to ignore her, Kyle couldn't help but go skirt, chasing yet again to see how far Audra would go. As expected, it went too far. And also as expected, Kyle lied about it and then tried to shame Audra instead of himself. But it got better. When Claire needed a moment to digest that the guy she trusted more than anyone was a lying cheat, he raced off to tell his mom and dad, pouted for a few, and then decided the solution to everything was to propose. But did he go ring shopping? No, he had a jeweler bring one to him, and now he's going to have someone make them dinner so he can show Claire all the effort he's put in. But it didn't go unnoticed that he was still blaming Audra for his lies when he invited Claire to dinner. We're not convinced she's going to be overwhelmed with joy at the proposal. In fact, we're more interested in seeing him buck up 5 millos to Victor. Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full Y&R recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not, seriously, do not forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. Here are the Young and the Restless spoilers for next week, when the effects of Victor's deal with Audra are still playing out. Here's a look ahead at the episodes we'll see from Monday, September 1st to Friday, September 5th, 2025. Next week on The Young and the Restless, Kyle is desperate to win back Claire's trust after he blew it by lying by omission. Claire was extremely upset that Kyle didn't tell her how far things went with Audra in the French Riviera. Claire had asked him several times, and Kyle didn't let on that they had kissed for quite a while. Wearing nothing but a towel, on his bed, in his sleeping car. He still hasn't told her all the details, but it was enough for her to know that it wasn't just a peck, and that he lied. For some reason, Kyle thinks it's the right time to propose, but will that warm Claire's heart or send her suspicions through the roof? Meanwhile, lies are hurting Audra as well. In Crimson Lights, Nate and Audra discuss Kyle. "The truth, Audra, that's all I ask," Nate says. "I did it," Audra tearfully admits. "I agreed to Victor's quid pro quo. I went after Kyle so I could get what I want." Nate and Audra have already broken up, but will the truth put them back on track or end things forever? Although Victor was the one who created the situation to have Audra break up Kyle and Claire by seducing him while they were away in Nice, Victor seems to be the only one whose relationship isn't affected. At the main ranch house, Nikki has a special evening planned for her husband. "You're always the one surprising me and lavishing me with gifts, so I thought it was your turn to be surprised and spoiled. Let me remind you how much I adore you," Nikki tells Victor in their living room. "Is there a Ferrari waiting outside?" She's right. Victor does know how to lavish Nikki with gifts, and retail therapy might be one of Nikki's specialties. But what do you buy a billionaire anyway? This surprise that Nikki has planned for Victor just might be much more sentimental. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday, August 29th imply some bombshells on the horizon in Genoa City. Someone returns to town on a new assignment, while another makes waves, and someone spills the tea. Find out what's set to go down during Friday's show, below. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday, August 29th imply that Amanda Sinclair will be back on the job as she returns to Genoa City. Added teasers hint that Kane Ashby will have a new assignment for her, so as he's changing his plan now, and he's looking to win back his children's approval, it'll be interesting to see what Amanda will dive into next for her billionaire mogul boss. The last fans saw her, she was cleaning up Kane's legal mess in Nice, so whatever Kane has for Amanda, she'll be able to handle the job. Speaking of work, Nikki Newman will make some major changes at Chancellor. What could this be about? Will she decide to promote Claire Newman, or possibly bring someone new into the fold? Regardless, this big move may be something that she pulls in order to protect her company from any looming threats. She knows Chancellor is on the radar for Kane, so she'll do everything in her power to ensure the organization stays under the Newman Enterprises umbrella. Finally, The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday reveal that Billy Abbott will tell Jack Abbott about Kane's latest plan. Billy is acting like an ally to Kane, but his heart and loyalty will always belong to the Abbotts and Jabot. After all, Jabot is his father, John Abbott's legacy. Plus, despite their differences, he knows he can trust Jack. What next steps will these two brothers take? Fans will have to tune in to find out. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal a preview clip has been released for the week of September 1st, 2025. It shows Kyle Abbott proposing marriage to Claire Grace Newman. Audra Charles tells Nate Hastings everything. Plus, Nikki Newman tempts Victor Newman with a good time. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Kyle, who pulls out a ring box in the preview clip. During the week of September 1st, Kyle proposes marriage to Claire. Even though Kyle is determined to do this, he was warned by his family that he could be moving too fast. Plus, Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott are right about it being a knee-jerk reaction. Right now, Claire isn't sure about whether she can really trust Kyle, so the last thing she is expecting is a marriage proposal. The blonde's eyes pop open when Kyle shows her the engagement ring. While it's a nice gesture, will Claire say yes or not yet? Claire promised Nikki she wouldn't make any sudden decisions. While Claire loves Kyle, she's also more rational than emotional. So, there is a chance she could tell him not yet because of her trust issues. If Claire does say yes, then that could create a new problem for Victor. While he eventually gave his blessing for the relationship, it was just so he didn't lose Claire. Marriage will be a whole other ballgame. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for the week of September 1st, reveal that the preview clip also features Nate and Audra. Sitting down together, Nate begs her to tell the whole truth. With tears in her eyes, Audra admits that she agreed to Victor's quid pro quo. Then, the brunette adds that she went after Kyle so she could get what she wanted. Well, at least she's being honest about it. However, Nate looks absolutely heartbroken and distraught. As much as Nate loves her, I wonder if this relationship is done. Over at the Newman Ranch, expect Nikki to put the moves on her hubby. With a sultry voice and seductive eyes, Nikki offers to surprise and spoil Victor. Then, she adds to let her remind Victor of how much she adores him. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of September 1st, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next.